Boys, welcome back to the channel. We're looking at part 1 of our complete beginner's guide today. I want to cover the topics of energy, battles, and a little bit of crystal spending. So let's start off with energy, and we're going to start off with normal energy because it's the first energy you get exposed to in the game and allows you to farm light side and dark side battles. So light side and dark side battles, you get two things from them: characters and gear. There's obviously other rewards that you're going to get, but by far, the most important things that we get here are characters and gear. Now, in the early game, pre-level 85, really the only thing we're focused on is characters. The gear is going to come. You can spend a little bit of energy here and there farming up the gear pieces you need, but I recommend spending 90% of your energy on farming characters. And as you can see, characters are only found on hard nodes, so you will need to complete the hard nodes as you level up and unlock the different stages. And once you do unlock them, make sure you 3-star them so that you can sim them. So early on, I do highly recommend you start using your normal energy on character nodes, doing the max 5 attempts you can per day per character that you want to farm. Now, how many characters do we want to farm at a time? I usually recommend anywhere from 5 to 10. You can go a little bit higher than that, maybe like 12 or so. I don't usually recommend going past that. And usually you want, at least in the early game, at least 5 characters that you're farming at a time, because there's plenty of hard node characters you're going to need to pick up at some point or another. So that doesn't mean that we're farming every single character here, though. In fact, this one that we're on right now, Kylo Ren Unmasked, I would not recommend farming from a hard node. And you may ask why. Well, let's actually go into his character screen and see exactly why I don't recommend that. So if we go ahead and pull up Kylo Ren Unmasked in our character sheet, he is first order, so we'll get him up here. You'll see right down here in the bottom right, we can see his star count. Now, since I have the option to promote him, you won't see this screen, but when you click on that little button, it'll show you where you can farm him. And the reason I don't recommend spending that normal energy to farm him is because we have the option to farm him in Cantina. And for the early game, it is usually easier to farm a character in Cantina, if possible, over hard nodes. Normal hard nodes, they are one of the slowest places to farm characters. It usually takes, for accelerated characters, about 3 months without refreshing it to go from nothing to 7 stars. It's usually about 3 months, which is a long time. And we'll go into refreshing and whether or not you want to do it in a second. But whenever you see a character is available outside of a hard node, you almost always want to farm them from that other location. So this is a great example because not only are we getting Kylo Ren Unmasked here, but we're also getting his ship. So if I spent the time to go farm his shards from this light side node every single day, and I was doing the Cantina, I would finish him way faster than I would finish his ship. Because you see, I get 2 shards for him, and I only get 1 shard for his ship. So even if I'm just farming him from Cantina, I'm still going to finish him. So you'll see I have 185 shards. So that's my 85 to get to 6 stars, and then my 100 to get to 7 stars. So I have all the shards I need for him. Well, for his ship, I only have it at 5 stars. I can only get it to 5 stars. I couldn't even get it to 6 yet. So you'll see when you're farming characters, you really want to look at all of the different options that you have and make sure you're doing it from the most optimal place. So how do you know what the most optimal place is? Well, in general, I'll say shops are the easiest place to get characters, most of the shops, and we'll go into in-depth and shipments in the next guide. And then Cantina, I think, is the next easiest, and then hard nodes is the hardest place. Now, you may see some of these crystal packs and be like, oh, I want to get this character. Let me spend a little bit of crystals and try to get some shards of them. Do not spend your crystals on these packs. Spending crystals on character shards is 99.9% of the time not worth it. There's a very few exceptions for very few characters where it could be worth it. But 640 crystals for 16 shards of Kylo Ren Unmasked, that is a horrendous deal. That is so terrible. Do not spend your crystals on this. So you may be asking, what should I be spending my crystals on? Well, since we're talking about energy, I feel like it's a good time to mention that you can refresh your energy by clicking on your energy up here. You'll see that with ship, mod, and normal energy, you can refresh it for 50 crystals starting up to 3 times, and then the price jumps up to 100. And so that's why mine's at 100, is because I've already refreshed it 3 times. With Cantina, you can refresh it for 100 crystals each time for the first 3 times, and then it jumps up to 200, and it jumps up more past that. But for free-to-play players and for people that are new to the game, I don't recommend doing any more than the 3 refreshes per day on any one energy. You don't need to spend 100 crystals to refresh normal energy. You don't need to spend 200 to refresh Cantina Energy, and so on and so forth. What I highly recommend doing is doing at least 3 refreshes on your normal energy a day. The next one I would start doing is your Cantina, then I would do your ships, and then lastly, I would do your mods. I'm not saying you should do those every single day either. For me, right now, I am just refreshing my normal energy. I do 3 refreshes on this, and I save the rest of my crystals. So I'm getting up a nice little stockpile, and I'm making more than the 150 crystals a day that I spent on that. The reason why I recommend normal over doing any of the other ones is because there are so many characters that can only be farmed from hard nodes. Every single character you see on my screen right here can only be farmed from hard nodes, either from ships or from normal hard nodes. And so I am working on farming all of these characters, and it's going to take me 3 months per character to get these up. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can refresh nodes. So let's take a look at Bastila. I already farmed Bastila today, but you'll see if I'm willing to spend 25 crystals, I could get an additional 5 attempts at farming Bastila. I don't recommend doing this for free-to-play players. There's a couple exceptions, which I'll get to in a second, but the reason I say I don't recommend it is because if you take a look at what I'm actually farming right now, I am farming all of my Jedi Knight Revan requirements, Bastila, Jolie, and Mission. Mission and Zalbar are on the same node, so luckily I get to get 2 characters from one node. Great. So there's 4 characters that I'm farming. If I wanted to farm them all at an accelerated rate, I would have to spend 25 crystals on each one of these in order to farm them faster. So it would double the speed, yes, but I'm spending 75 crystals a day. Instead, I could take the extra energy I would spend on all 3 of these characters and farm an additional 3 characters. So, instead of farming just Bastila, Jolie, and Mission, I could farm Bastila, Jolie, Mission, Sith Trooper, Jango, and 8th Brother. And yes, it'll take me twice as long to get all 3 of them, but I will have saved 75 crystals every single day. Now, if you may say, oh, well, just do your most important character. Okay, so if I spend 25 crystals refreshing Bastila's node, yes, I'll get Bastila to 7 stars first, but then I still need Jolie and Mission up to 7 stars in order to do my Jedi Knight Revan mission. Now, there's a couple of exceptions to this, and one of them is if you have a character that's behind your other farms. For example, I'm only at 32 out of 65 for Mission, whereas I'm at 50 out of 65 and 33 out of 85 for Bastila, so Mission is a little behind. It might not hurt to do a few days of refreshing Mission, just so that way she finishes up around the same time as Bastila and Jolie. Another example of a time you might want to do it is if you're farming ships from hard nodes. So with 8th Brother, he's already at 7 stars, but I'm still farming him because I need IG 2000. Some people would argue that you should do the 25 crystal refresh, so that way you can actually get your ships up in a timely manner. Because ships only drop 1 shard at a time, it takes about 6 months to get a ship up to 6 stars. So it definitely is a long investment. Again, personally, I'm not a fan of doing that because I would much rather save my crystals to just do more energy refreshes. And by saving those 75 crystals or 25 crystals a day, it allows me to do some extra Cantina refreshes per day. So you'll see I'm trying to farm all 10 of these characters from Cantina, and being able to do some extra refreshes will help speed that process along. So that brings us into Cantina Energy. Obviously, we've talked about farming characters a lot in Cantina. This is the second game mode you get access to. And there's a ton of different characters that you can farm here. Farming characters from here is not really a mistake ever. But there are a couple characters I want to spot. I want to show you a different place to farm them because I think it's a better place to farm them than in here. And namely, I'm going to talk about Farm Boy Luke and Old Ben. The reason I'm going to talk about these two is because they are actually available in the guild store. This is a new thing since the new raids came out. But if you look in the guild activity store, and again, we'll have a more in-depth guide on shipments at some point, but you can get Old Ben here, and you can also get him with your Mark 1 raid currency down here at the bottom, if we can get down there eventually. You'll see both Farm Boy Luke and Old Ben. And honestly, this is the easiest place, I think, other than maybe Galactic War, to farm characters. You get so many of these Mark 1 raid tokens from raids, especially if you are in a good guild, that farming characters from here goes so fast. Personally, I would recommend farming characters here over Cantina. Now, I'm not going to say that's some huge mistake if you do farm them from Cantina, but remember, when you're looking to farm a character, when you realize, oh, hey, I want to go after this, make sure to pull them up in your collection, see where you can find them, and think about it a little bit of, okay, where do I want to farm this character? It may be that you only have one option. So with Droideka, I only got one option. I can farm him here, or I can spend crystals on him. And we just talked about how terrible of a deal those crystals are. So just make sure you look at it, look at all the different places you can find them. And I'll go ahead and throw a link to the Star Wars Wiki, character farm locations, in the description of this video. That's another great resource to show you the easiest or most optimal place to farm each character. Now, let's talk quickly about ship energy and mod energy. So, mod energy you're going to unlock first. Let's talk about that. You have two different ways to spend mod energy on both mod battles and mod challenges. You're going to start off by just clearing mod battles in order to get access to mod challenges. Once you get access to mod challenges, that's where I recommend you spend most of your mod energy. Specifically, once you unlock tier 3 of mod challenges. Until you unlock tier 3s, you can honestly just kind of sim whatever with the mod energy, because tier 3s is where you unlock 5-star mods. Again, we're gonna have an in-depth mod guide coming up, but for now, all you really need to know is that anything below 5 mods are not going to be useful in the long term and are not worth investing into. So as soon as possible, we want to try to clear this tier 3 health mod. This is the easiest mod challenge to clear, that's tier 3. So I recommend doing this as soon as possible. And then once you start simming this one, you can start trying to clear some of the other ones. If you don't get it, not a big deal. Just go back to clearing this tier 3 of the health one, because again, it's definitely the easiest. And then the speed mod is the priority after that. So health and speed mods are going to be the two most common that you're going to use. I would highly recommend unlocking the tier 3s of those and simming them as soon as possible. So you'll see when I sim these, I get access to some 5 mods, and sometimes they're better than others. What this really does is it gives you credits and gives you mods that you can sell for credits or upgrade if you get better luck than I just did. So that's how we spend mod energy. It's pretty simple. In the early game, I don't think you really need to refresh mod energy until a little bit later when you're trying to just kind of improve your mods. But early game, I think it's too important to get characters up and running and gear. So I really focus on your normal and your Cantina energy in the early game. With ship energy, you may have some ships or some characters that you need to farm in the fleets. So you'll see you can obviously, just like the normal battles, have your normal battles where you get gear, and then you have your hard nodes where you get characters and ships. So mostly ships here. And so I don't think you need to refresh these, refresh this energy early game, because there's not that many ships I think most people are pursuing early game. But if you find that you're trying to farm multiple nodes here, definitely never a bad idea to refresh this. You're not going to regret it. And in fact, later in the game, you're going to need to refresh this to get some extra gear as well. So I think that covers all things energy. We talked a little bit about spending your crystals. Just keep in mind what your crystal income is in a day. So maybe take a screenshot and look at what your crystal income was before you did all your dailies. And then at the end of the day, take a look again. Try not to spend more than you're making, just like a budget. And so if you realize, oh, I'm making 200 crystals a day, maybe that means you do 3 refreshes here and you save the extra 50. Maybe you find you're getting 300 crystals a day. So you do the 150 here and you do 100 here and you pocket the extra 50. Whatever it is, I would recommend not spending more crystals than you're making, prioritizing normal and Cantina energy to unlock those characters faster, and using most of your energy, your normal energy, on characters over gear before you hit level 85. Once you hit level 85, then it frees up a little bit. You can start spending your normal energy on getting those, specifically gear 12 pieces, and ship energy on gear 12 pieces. A lot of the gear that you get prior to gear 12, it's just best to buy in the shops. The only gear that's really an exception to that is going to be Kyrotechs. Those are definitely worth farming with energy if you need them for a character. I hope that gives you a general overview. I try to make this as quick and as streamlined as possible, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I try to respond to any constructive comments, and as well, like the video, subscribe for more guides coming out. This is only part 1 of our beginner's guide. There's a lot to cover in getting into Galaxy of Heroes, so hopefully this helped a little bit. I appreciate you guys, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care and peace.